What's up, everybody? This is Tim from Arm Wrestling Secrets, and in this video, we're going to be talking about how to fix your top roll setup right now.
He's trying to back out. I said, you want it? Why not? Go, come on. I want to show this guy something. Come on. Let's get it
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we're talking about how to fix your top roll setup. Now, the top roll is dependent on setting up properly from the beginning, okay? If you're going to be getting good at this top rolling movement, okay, it's essential that you position your body correctly to do it, okay? It doesn't just work. It works because the technique works because your position was correct in the beginning. Keep in mind, I want you to think about all your techniques this way. Think about your setup as part of the technique, not like, I'm going to go up to the table and I'm going to do a hook, right? You set yourself up properly for the technique and then employ the technique on the go. But I want you to think about your setup as part of, very much as part of your technique, okay? And so when you're setting up at the table, if you want your move to work, you have to set up properly. Your opponent's doing the same thing. Details really matter in arm wrestling, okay? And that's what this channel is all about, okay? So remember your top roll, dependent on maintenance of pronation. I will explain that, okay? Remember, during your top roll, okay, and I'll set it up exactly how I want you to see it from the beginning, and I'm going to show you from the side, and I'm going to show you my legs as well, just so you can get the whole concept, okay? But just looking at what you see here, okay, most importantly with your arm is pronation, okay, is maintaining pronation. Maintaining pronation, okay? So you're not, during your match, you're not here, and you're not, you see that? You're not actively pronating during the match, okay? That's not going to work very well. This pronation muscle, it's much stronger locked than it is active, okay? So you're not going to have very much power here, okay? But you'll have a lot more strength holding this pronation and then going to do your move, okay? So, let's look at it from there, okay? So when you're coming up for any time, and I like how the position of the pad is here with the camera because you can see exactly what I'm doing, and it really helps, okay? I'm coming up to the table here, and see what I did with my arm there, okay? Now you see how it's kind of inside my body. Now I want you to see it from another angle, and this will help make sense, okay? Now look at this, okay? Now, see how my arm, I just mentioned we want to pronate in the beginning, right? We want to be fully pronated, okay? Now, what happens if I'm fully pronated, right? I want to be like this. What happens if I stand square to the table? Look at that. If I open my palm, it's just facing the opponent, right? But now watch what happens. I'm going to keep my hand right here. Watch. Look at that. Okay, my pronation is locked. I'm locked behind my body and my hand is totally square to my opponent. Now it's a fair start, okay? And my shoulders, they're square to the opponent, okay? Just like that. If I go back to standing here, my pronation unlocks because if I have to keep my hand in a fair starting position, I have to unlock my pronation if I'm standing here, okay? If I coil up behind my body a little bit here, okay, I can keep my pronation locked. Okay, so that's the first and most important lesson to fixing your top roll setup, okay, is maintaining pronation. And honestly, get yourself a camera. If you have a camera, most people have a camera, or most people have a phone and a camera. do this. Put a tripod up or get a mirror and really check yourself out and see your positions here, because this is where it should be You're lined up right in the middle of your body. Remember, if you're setting it for your top roll and you're off to the side, okay, you can't maintain pronation in a top roll and start fairly, okay? You have to release your pronation in order to stand this way, okay? And that's putting you at a huge disadvantage, okay? And remember, arm wrestling is not the most natural thing. So when you're first learning these moves, you're locking your pronator and you're standing behind it and you're bringing it inside your body. It's really unnatural feeling. It doesn't, you know, it takes time to learn it and it takes time to go through the motions. But if you do it properly and you get your body positioned exactly right and balanced for the production of power for your move, you'll have a lot more success. And isn't that what it's all about? At the end of the day, what do you really want? What you want is success at the table. Success. And the best way to success is details. It's the little details. And think about it this way too. The more attention you're paying to the details, the more advantage you're having over your opponent. And if that's not true, you could explain to me how that's not true, okay? And that goes with strength training, table tactics, table training, strategies, all that stuff. Details matter, okay? So maintenance of pronation here. Now we talked about that, okay? And I'm going to flip the camera to the side in just 1 minute so we can see the side angle, and then we can see the bottom. This is just how to fix your setup. We're not going to go through doing the whole motion and all the different moves you can do. That's for another video, okay? Now, while we're talking about what's above the table here, let's look at this arm, okay? This is really important as far as fixing your top roll setup, okay? So we fixed your arm, right? We kind of know how to come in here. We know how to stay pronated, okay? We want to keep height in the arm. Remember, there's no benefit. I would never put your arm at the back of the pad unless you're really tall and you know, that's the only way you can start fair, okay? I try to reserve all this room at the back of the pad for a retreating movement, okay? Like you can use the whole pad to come out if you need to. You can sweep out. Okay, you've seen me do that in another video. And then you can also use if I bring my arm to the front, you're going to maximize your height. You're maximizing your height on the table, which is good. It's all about leverage, okay? Especially with the top roll, okay? You're maximizing your height, but then you're also maximizing your ability to drag, okay? Which is your ability to produce force. If you're at the back of the pad, you don't have that ability, right? You just come off the pad, you get a foul, and pretty soon you're out of the match, okay? So I keep my arm somewhere up here. I'm not going to tell you exactly where to put it because there's different moves that are available depending on where you put it, and that's a little bit more advanced. And I'd say that's not important right now. I'd say arm up at the front and arm high with arm pronated. Now, before I talk about the side and the legs here, let's talk about this arm. Okay, now look where I have this arm. You see this kind of on top? Let me move the camera a little bit. Okay, so you're off arm. Okay, so this is my right arm. This would be my left arm here. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, and this took me a while to learn. Okay, when I first came up on arm wrestle, I remember I put my arm on the table, and I remember trying to get myself in the table like I was preparing for a hurricane wind or something like that to blow me away. And I thought, if I just like strap myself to the table and I put my elbow down as hard as I can, that's going to help me at the table. And then, of course, I realized that my elbow and my lower arm was not attached. It was attached, but it wasn't exactly anchored to my table and my body. And so that's what happens, okay? So remember, locking yourself into the table, there's no benefit to that. You want to be fluid. You want to be able to move, okay? That's the way arm wrestling works. So locking yourself in is no good, okay? So this arm. Okay, so I'm going to push with this arm. Push. Remember, I'm delivering force backwards, right? So there's no benefit. What if I'm pulling? I'm pulling myself in while I'm trying to pull away. Now, I don't like that. Some of you might try that style. I don't know. I'm saying this is the way it works for me. Is I put my hand on the top of the peg here, and this gives me a position to push. I mean, there's any number of hand positions you could use. This is the one I use. I just use my hand on the top, and I keep this elbow clear. Okay, and this is really important, okay? Look what happens. Now, if I'm top rolling, I've already blocked my path to the pin pad. Done. I've already screwed up the match. With my arm here, if your arm's hitting the table, it's in the way, okay? It's in the way. You need a lane. You need to be able to back, and you need to bring the person down to this pad. If this arm is here, okay, or if you're holding your arm here, okay, and you're wondering what the problem is, this arm is blocking your path. You're not able to move, okay? So you get this out of the way, but you can still make it work for you, okay? So you want this arm pushing. I push with this and I pull with this, okay? So I'm doing both things together, okay? I'm delivering force. Both arms are working together to bring me back, okay? So and that's just a small consideration, but it's details. Small consideration, so I'm pushing with this arm. Let's look at that move from the side. Okay, guys, we're looking at your top roll setup from the side, okay? Same thing, okay? So when I'm coming up to the table, okay, we want to maintain that pronation, okay? So this is kind of the way it looks from the side, but see how my arm, we don't want this. See this red line? See this little red line that goes up the middle of the table here, okay, the midline? You don't want your arm crossing that line, okay, especially at the get-go, okay? You want to maintain height, okay, as much height as you can in the arm, especially for your top rolling movement, okay? Remember, your motion's here, okay? Your motion is you're pushing with this arm, pulling with this arm, keeping the pronator locked, and you're keeping this angle tight. You're not going, okay? You want to keep this tight, keep that pronator locked, right? And that's the way you want to set up for the movement. So this way you can set up fairly to your opponent, okay? Still keep your pronation locked, and then on the go, you have your top rolling movement there. Okay, so let's look at the legs from a couple different angles. Okay, guys, so when you're setting your body for your top rolling position or any arm wrestling position, make sure you have a balance. Make sure your body's balanced, okay? So I'm gonna spread my legs apart quite a bit. Let me show you how I walk into the table here, and you can see how I set it up, okay? Guys, last thing I wanted to cover for this video is just one little small thing, okay? So when I'm coming up to the arm wrestling table for my top roll, I've already showed plenty of demonstrations, but just look what I'm doing with my arm here, okay? Okay, pronating inside my body. I'm already thinking that as I'm going up. I'm already in a coiled position, okay? But see that? So that's what you want to think about, though, is more this, not this. Okay, you want to be to the other side, okay, and then coil behind the arm. Okay, so when I'm coming up, remember you're going to be taking up this position with your arm, fully coiled and ready for the match. I hope this helped you guys. I'll see you in the next one.